Hello, my name is Molly Mckannay, and I decided to do my presentation on the sensory evaluation of Cabernet Sauvignon. First, I want to start off by telling you why I decided to do wine. So there are 4 people in my group for this project, and all 4 of us are wine business management students, and we have a very big interest in the Washington State AVAs. AVA stands for American Viticulture Area. So we wanted to kind of examine the different AVAs in Washington and see how those affect different wines. So here I'm going to introduce you to panelists and wine. And every panelist is very different, and therefore there is no right or wrong answers when it comes to being a part of a panel. And everybody has different sensitivities and tolerances to different attributes. So that's where the judge to judge variation comes through during a panel. For wine, I wanted to talk a little bit Cabernet Sauvignon. So this is the most planted grape in Washington, and it grows in a wide range of climates throughout the entire world. And it also varies in flavor due to the climate and yield size. So when Cabernet is grown in a very hot climate, wines tend to be more fruity, and cold climate tend to be more veggie attributes. For yield size, the higher the yield size, the fruitier the flavors are, and the lower the yield size, the veggier the flavors are. So here are some more Cabernet Sauvignon characteristics. Most Cabernet Sauvignons have very fruity flavor, such as blackberry, black cherry, black currant, and other flavors such as black pepper, tobacco, licorice, and vanilla. Usually Cabernet Sauvignon is oaked for about 9 to 18 months, and it has medium acidity and tannin. So here is a picture on the right of a vine from the Cabernet Sauvignon varietal. Here is a map of Washington State, and I just wanted to kind of give you an overview of where each AVA is located in comparison to one another that I'll be talking about today. So here is Horse Heaven Hills right here along Oregon and Washington border, and Walla Walla Valley, which actually continues into Oregon. The salmon color that outlines, it's huge, that is the Columbia Valley, and then right here is Rattlesnake Hills. So those are the 4 I'll be talking about today. To start off, here I'm going to talk about Horse Heaven Hills, which was established in 2005, and it's located in south central Washington. So here's an more up close visual of how big the AVA is and where it is located. So it's close to Prosser, and it's along the Washington and Oregon border and overlooks the Columbia River. And this area tends to have high heat in the summer and cooler temperatures starting in September. The wine we chose from this region was Columbia Crest H3 2013, and different flavors that come about are black cherries, blackberries, and a touch of currants and vanilla. The next AVA I'll be talking about is the Columbia Valley. So this is a very diverse, it has a lot of diverse geographical characteristics. For instance, there's a lot of valleys throughout this AVA with a bunch of tributaries. So this definitely affects how the wine can taste throughout the different areas of this AVA. And the wine chosen was Columbia Crest 2013. This is a very complex wine that tends to have dark berry fruits and plum. This is also the largest of AVAs and actually has a lot of sub-AVAs incorporated into the entire AVA. The next AVA I would like to talk about is Rattlesnake Hills, which was awarded its appellation in 2006. There is about 68,500 acres and is located southeast of Yakima. As you can see in the picture down to the right, it's actually a pretty small AVA. It's not very large. It ranges elevation about 600 to 900 feet, and within that, there comes 6 to 9 inches of rain a year. The wine we chose from here was from Silver Lake Winery and is also a 2013 varietal. The last AVA I would like to talk about is Walla Walla Valley. So here, this was established in 1984, although many Italian immigrants actually started planting grapes here long before 1984. And this appellation stretches across the Washington and Oregon border. Um, and there's a very diverse climate here compared to other AVAs. It's actually much cooler than other AVAs, and there's more rain there, about 12.5 inches a year. So as you saw in Rattlesnake Hills, they only receive about 6 to 9 inches, which is only about half of what Walla Walla Valley gets. The wine we chose from here was a Waterbrook 2013 Cabernet Sauvignon. And flavors and aromas present here are cherries, dried fruits, and black plum. So now I'd like to talk about the hypothesis. And at the beginning of our project, our hypothesis was that wines from the eastern side of Washington would be more sweeter and more fruitier, while wines from the west side of the state would be less sweet and carry more veggie attributes. Um, Being in Pullman, it was very hard to find wines that were from the west side of the state. Um, so we had to kind of reconfigure our hypothesis, which is what you're looking at the screen now. So our hypothesis that we changed to was that all wines must have low vegetal content of 5 centimeters or lower, and this is on a 15-point scale. Our null hypothesis was that all wines will have high vegetal content of 5 centimeters or higher. Now to talk about the panelists, we had 4 panelists. Each person in our group performed as a panelist, and our age varies from 21 to 22 years old. And every panelist is likes wine, and we actually drink it quite often, about 2 to 3 glasses of wine per week. So within that, we kind of have we are very familiar with different wine varietals, and especially Washington State varietals. We tend to drink those the most. Sometimes we also drink wines from Oregon and Idaho and California as well. So to train the panelists, we did a 1.5 hour training, and we also came up with our standards. And to come up with our standards, we actually took the initiative to go to the store and gather some items that were similar in taste and smell to the attributes that we were actually looking for in a wine. So after analyzing the many flavors and aromas, my group was able to come up with a standard, and the standard was used as a reference. It was used as a reference throughout the panel. So for jam cooked berry flavor, we have a standard intensity as 12, and for the fruity aroma, we have 11. And to come to this conclusion, we took 1 tablespoon of seedless blackberry jam and we sniffed it. And after we sniffed it, we tasted it, and that's how we came up with the intensity. For vegetable, we cut a green bell pepper 1 centimeter wide and 15 centimeters in length, and we chewed slowly, and as a group we came up with the intensity as a 5. For astringency, we seeped a Lipton Black tea bag, and we all agreed that this was an intensity of 9. And for spicy, we took 1 teaspoon of freshly cracked pepper, and we rated the flavor of it as an 11 and the aroma of it as an 8. So here, these were used to compare our other results that we got when we were actually conducting the panel. On this slide, I have the table that we created, and each attribute is defined, and then the standard is shown, and then next to it are the intensities, which I had just informed you about. Next, we have the sample preparation. And for sample preparation, we actually got a friend to conduct the experiment for us and serve us the wine at room temperature. So she actually wrapped the wine in foil and uncorked the wines. And after doing this, she then assigned each bottle a 3-digit code, which she wrote with Sharpie on the foil. So as you can see in the picture below, the tags say A, B, C, D, but instead of having A, B, C, D, we actually had it written on the foil. So we were unaware of what wines we were actually tasting. So it was a completely blind panel. So then we had red solo cups with the corresponding 3-digit code where we would do our 2-ounce pour. So next I want to talk about the materials, and of course we have our 4 wines here. Each was a 2013 varietal, one from Waterbrook Silver Lake Winery, Columbia Crest, and an H3 Columbia Crest, and all of them were Cabernet Sauvignons, as stated before. We also had aluminum foil, which we used to create this blind tasting, party cups, a wine opener, a 1-ounce shot glass, which was used to measure out how much wine we were doing. We were putting in the red solo cups, so therefore it was consistent and precise, and everybody had the same amount to test. We also used a black pen and paper. So to conduct this experiment, we used a randomized block design. So there's 4 samples, and each of those samples was one of our wines, and each was presented once during the same session. So the panelists here are the block, and the wine is the treatment, and we actually only replicated this one time for various reasons, including sensory fatigue, busy work and school schedule, and when the wine becomes uncorked and then left out for a day or so, wine properties tend to change, and therefore the results, if we had done it over multiple days, the attributes would have become distorted. So therefore we decided actually to just do it one day and get that, be sure that it was very accurate. Here is our statistical analysis. And as you can see, the panelists are numbered as 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the wines are listed in their 3-digit codes, which they were assigned, and then A, B, C, D. And you can tell what everybody's score was throughout for each different wine for the veggie component. I think I forgot to say that this is just looking at the vegetal scores, since since our hypothesis kind of revolved around the vegetable attribute. So these are all our scores for the veggie attribute. And as you can see, the mean is the bottom column, so you can kind of compare those. Here we have the analysis of variance F table of the vegetal score. And we've, to determine if the significance was, if there was a big significance, we calculated the F value, which was negative 37.66, and checked the table on 17.6 at alpha is equal to 0.05. And with 3 degrees of freedom in the numerator and 9 degrees of freedom in the denominator, the variance of the F value had to exceed 3.86. And since our F value was 37.66, it was much lower than our F values. So we concluded that there is no significant vegetal components in any of the wines at the alpha level that we tested at, which was 0.05. Here we have Fisher's LSD, and each of the wines, we have listed their mean score, and we grouped them together. As you can see, wine 343, 562, and 214 are all grouped together because wine 214 was 1.5, and each of the other two were either 0.25 above that or 0.25 below that. So we thought that those would be grouped together, whereas wine 189 was actually a lot higher than the other ones. So we grouped that separately from the other 3 wines. Here we have revealed our wines, and wine 189 was from the Columbia Valley, wine 214 was from the Walla Walla Valley, wine 567 was from Horse Heaven Hills, and wine 343 was from Rattlesnake Hills. So here we can see that our results were very consistent with literature that we have seen. This was the fact that wines had a very low vegetal content in warmer areas, and therefore the wine that we chose actually had stronger fruity and spicy attributes, and these definitely outweighed the veggie attributes present. We can actually expect slight differences among the wines due to different irrigation systems, climates, elevations, and soils throughout the different AVAs. To conclude, we accept our hypothesis that all wines are resulted in a low vegetal content, and climates definitely have an effect on flavors and aromas of the wine. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed learning about the sensory evaluation of Cabernet Sauvignon.